Hey, hi everyone, Dr. Phil. I wanted to do a quick video on 3 different things. I want to try to put them all together in one video so you can chunk it out if you want or watch the whole thing, get it all incorporated. So I wanted to mention the typical neuron cell with the dendrites, cell body, the axon, the Schwann cell, and the axon at the end, tell you how the information goes from the dendrite all the way through the next cell. Type that in. I want to get into the spinal cord, the cross section, cut, talking about the posterior portion or the dorsal posterior portion, which is all the sensory information, afferently going to your brain, and then your brain's going to process it, and then efferently, EFFER, and T is going to send it back down the spinal cord and out to either a muscle, a gland, an organ for processing and a correct response. And I want to really show you how it goes up in the brainstem and goes to the pre or post central gyrus to the homunculus for processing, how your brain sort of knows where information is coming from and sending the information back down to the appropriate area in the body. So I'm going to start quickly. I think it's exercise 15, so it'll make more sense to everyone. So I'm going to put a typical model out. Sorry, it's kind of jumpy. So this is a model. We're going to have something similar in lab, whether it's all one piece or divided into two. I'll flip it up here for a second. So it's sort of how it looks. Trying by myself, who's probably isn't it, but like your picture from your lab book. These are your dendrites here, this portion here. This is the axon or axon bulb, or they're going to call it the axon terminal, which synapses with the neuron. This part here is the beginning of the neuron. And there's a synaptic cleft, and they'll go over that in lecture with you. Information has to go from the dendrite, the axon, the neuron for processing, goes into the cell body here. This is the nucleus, same as the nucleus in the eukaryotic cell that we saw in the model in lab. This is the axon helix, HILLOX. This whole area right in through here. Then it goes in through here, so these would be attached. Separate. No. It goes down through here. This is your Schwann cell right here. Okay. Schwann cell. This is the axon, the terminal end. This is the nucleus here. And just realize these are layered. They're wrapped around like a little Debbie snack cake. Pushes the nucleus out to the end. And these Schwann cells make the myelinated sheath, nodes of veneer, where the information just jumps for faster processing. If we look at the end, you can see how these layers are wrapped and it pushes the nucleus all the way out to the end. Right, so that's how you can remember if that shows up in your lab practical. So once again, dendrite, axon, cell body, nucleus, axon helix, HILLOX. The Schwann cell here, that's a node of veneer that comes up. There's a nucleus, sort of a side section, you see. But I want to go over the spinal cord. And from the spinal cord, I'll try to explain how it goes up to the brain for some processing. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Got some spinal models here. This is my favorite. So this is the transverse cross section of your spinal cord. Remember, your spinal cord and your brain make up your central nervous system, which is in the ventral cavity. And this spinal cord is what was in your vertebral body of your spine to protect it. So a couple things. Back here on my thumb is that's dorsal, the posterior. Up here is ventral or anterior. And if you look, that sulcus there is pretty wide. This one's pretty narrow. So if you get confused or you have to orientate yourself, posterior has the small fissure, anterior has the wider fissure. The only thing that I want you to think about and remember is posterior dorsal is all for your sensory afferent, A-F-F-E-R-N-T information. So afferent means information coming in. This is the peripheral nervous system. So this is all coming in from your hands, feet, all the sensory portions of your body. Coming in, goes up to your brain for processing, comes back down, and goes out the efferent, E-F-F-E-R-N-T. So that's away from the brain. So this will have the information for a target organ, muscle, or gland. So this is the dorsal. This is the ventral. This right here is a dorsal root ganglion. So ganglion takes all the information that's coming in. It's sort of like a little mini processing center. Grabs the information, processes it, sends it forward. Another thing before I forget, if you have a reflex arc, information can come in from your body. If you have a reflex to it, or you've processed it before, like something hot or sharp or cold, and you recoil from it, the information comes in, your body already knows what it is, it sends the information right back out with the correct response. So martial arts, or somebody does something repetitively, mixed martial arts, things like that, they go right in and right back out. Or if you step on something sharp, your brain doesn't have to process it, it already knows what it is. It sends that reflex. So you jump right off of the sharp object. And so there's a transverse section of your spinal cord. Now I'm going to relay this if I can. So this is afferent, sensory information coming in through here. Is your spinal cord. It goes up spinal cord. Your spinal cord here. This is your thalamus. This is the editing center. Edits out about 90% of the information. Comes up here. This is your central sulcus. This is posterior. This is anterior. So this is pre. That's post. Frontal lobe, front. Talked about that when we did an anatomical nomenclature. Information comes up here, goes to something called the homunculus. This is the map of your brain. So your body knows exactly where that sensory information is coming from. Cold, heat, pain, pleasure, whatever that means to be, it knows exactly where it is. Sends the information here efferently for an efferent response, back down to have an appropriate response to whatever the information is. Comes down the anterior portion here, exits here efferently to the muscle, gland, or organ. You can look on here. They're all color coded, green and yellow. It says right here. This is dorsal, so this is going to be afferent sensory. Somatic means body. Visceral means your viscera, your organs, digestive system, pancreas, bladder, all your viscera, the sensory from that goes to your brain, so your brain knows what's going on. And then efferent is information. Somatic means your body. Visceral means your organs. You can have a correct response to the organs, glands, or muscles. The other thing I wanted to point out, because I'll get over it in lecture, is these are your dendrites and your axon, the neuron. Just please remember these dendrites on each nerve are specific for only one type of information. They can only process either pain, pressure, heat, cold, light touch, whatever it happens to be, vibration. They can only sense one thing. They're very, very specific to only one part of information. All right, I think that's enough for today. I will probably make another one tomorrow on the diencephalon or the limbic system. So I dropped it for the 8th time today. That's the diencephalon, or your brain stem. the thalamus here. This is the limbic system. This is where all your cerebrospinal fluid is located. Okay, so I will end it for now. I will see if I can upload this and share this in the module for the lab.